Has the haunted Wendy's that I personally investigated claimed 2 more souls? And then we take a look at the bizarre story of a man trying to get home late one night. He knows he's past curfew. He knows he's going to get in trouble. But when a mysterious event happens, it forces all of us to ask the question, can ghosts see the future? And if so, do they help influence it? Today on Dead Rabbit Radio. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dead Rabbit Radio. I'm your host, Jason Carpenter. I'm having a great day. I hope you guys are having a great day too, and I hope you guys had an awesome weekend. We got a ton of stuff to cover today, so first off, running into Dead Rabbit Radio Command, everyone get on your feet and give it up for Imminent Clown. Woohoo, yeah, Clown is jumping around in Dead Rabbit Radio Command. He's walking up, he's squishing your nose, he's pulling your cheeks. Eminent Clown, longtime supporter of the show, also sent me a book on my birthday. They went to my Amazon wish list and they bought the book, How to Contact the Space People. I believe I have this on my Amazon wish list, so Eminent Clown, thank you so much for picking this book up for me. I like it, and as a newly minted 49-year-old, I really like the large print. I really like how big the writing is in this book, and I can't wait to take a look at it. Eminent Clown, thank you for the birthday present. That is why you are going to be our captain, our pilot this episode. If you guys can't support the show financially through the Patreon, the merch store, or even buying me gifts, it truly is fine. It really, really is. Just help spread the word about Dead Rabbit Radio. That helps out so much. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know. Dead Rabbit Radio is your favorite paranormal show. Eminent Clown, I'm actually going to toss you the hair hang glider. Everyone grab onto Eminent Clown's oversized clown shoes as he runs and jumps off the highest point of Dead Rabbit Radio Command and glides us all the way out to Sacramento, California. This is an update to a story I covered years ago. It was episode 302, The Haunted Wendy's. This is a follow-up to that episode. Now, I cannot give you a full retelling of that story, of that episode. I honestly tried already, and it was 20 minutes, and it just didn't seem to work. It was too much detail. I basically rehashed everything, and I was getting bored just telling it. So I'm going to tell you a much shorter version, and it should work. It should give you enough to go off of for this next episode. But if you want the full story, I recommend listening to that old episode. So Imminent Clown flies us in this glider. We're headed out to Sacramento, California. Specifically, we're headed to a Wendy's off of Howe Avenue. I think maybe it was Fair Oaks Boulevard. I'm not entirely for sure. There will be links for that as well. But let me tell you the story in brief, and then we'll get on to the second part. Because 2 intrepid listeners of Dead Rabbit Radio were so inspired by my episode 302, The Haunted Wendy's, that they contacted me. I was talking to them one day, and they wanted to know exactly where it was at. So we pulled up Google Earth, and we're all looking at it, and I found it. It's a different restaurant now, and they went there. They just ate there a couple months ago. But first, let me tell you this. This would have happened back, and I'm really bad with my own personal timeline, but the early 2000s. I lived on Howe Avenue, and I think the cross street with Fair Oaks. It was probably about a mile or two outside of Sac State. There was a Wendy's down the street. You know, Wendy's is pretty good, but the problem is that this Wendy's, it was maybe a couple blocks from my house, was haunted. And you go, well, Jason, aren't you a paranormal investigator? Isn't that like your bread and butter? Well, I'm a ghost hunter, or I was more of an on-the-ground ghost hunter back then. But every so often you show up at a location and you go, this is way outside my power level. I can't remember many times that I did that, but the Wendy's would be one of those times. The Wendy's was one of those times where you would go and you're like, I don't have the tools to fight whatever is here. To call it haunted, it's almost insulting whatever horrible demon Cthulhu level threat, I don't know, existed under there. Basically, here's the story in a nutshell. You go to that Wendy's, it was almost always empty in the middle of the day. And this was in a very crowded area, like a lot of retail businesses. There was never anyone in there. Maybe one customer, maybe none, except for you. The staff all acted like robots. They had no personality. But you're like, Jason, the fast food restaurant, you're not going to dinner theater. I know. But, you go to Taco Bell and someone's yelling in the back, I need beans, where are the beans? They're in the cabinet, Jerry. Oh, beans. Hubbub, right? A buzz. You go to McDonald's and someone's like, ooh, yeah, look at me, I'm standing on the griddle. Ah. They're like, oh no, the meth psychosis is taking our manager over again. Ah. There's always something going on, right? You can hear busy work and you can hear conversations. People are doing things in the kitchen. But that's not what it felt like when you walked into this Wendy's. It felt like you were in a video game and you entered in an area and the NPC script was starting up. It was super off-putting. But the reason why that I really stopped going there, right? I'm like, oh, the service is great. There's no one else ever in line. Sure, the people act like automatons. They've been lobotomized by some sort of dark force. But man, those Frosties are good. The reason why I stopped going was one night I was driving through the drive-thru. And to make a long story short, I saw... It's really hard to explain. But I'm going to try to wrap it up as quick as possible because we got a ton of other stuff to talk about. I saw this giant contraption come out of the drive-thru window, and it was made out of paper from a straw, like those disposable straws. It was made out of disposable straw paper, disposable straws themselves, and coffee stirrers. Those long wooden coffee stirrers. And this mechanism, what I don't even know how to describe it. It was a cylinder. It was a long cylinder. If I had to guess, I'd say it was probably at least 1.5 feet thick, right? The diameter, maybe 2 feet in diameter, but one side of it, 1 foot, whatever. Thick, pretty big. It's not just one coffee stirrer, a paper wrapper, and a straw. No, it would have taken 100 of each to build it more. And it's so thick, it's so large, it comes out of the drive-thru window, and it's holding the customer's bag of food. And I'm looking at this thing and I go, what I'm looking at is impossible. You could not construct something out of those 3 materials and have it hold up a bag of 2 or more value meals and be able to navigate it into a dude's car. It's just impossible. And it truly was impossible because that's what I saw with my eyes. But at the same time, and that's why it's hard for me to explain this, because imagine trying to explain or describe 2 different memories that happen at the same time. Because what I saw was that, and kind of like remember those overhead projectors in school where you'd have an image and then you could put another image on top of it, but you would still see both images? What I was looking at as well was a 1.5 foot wide, 2 feet in diameter, the same dimensions, the same thickness, the same length. The thing had to be at least 5 to 6 feet long. I didn't see the beginning of it coming out of the window. You would imagine there was someone in the window navigating this giant contraption they made, trying to carry this food and put it in this guy's car. I saw that contraption, but at the same time, I saw what could only be described as a 5 to 6 foot long, 2 feet in diameter thick tentacle. Like a straight up tentacle from some ancient horror. And it had some sort of ball on the end of it, like a large ball or appendage at the very end of it, and that is what was holding the food and giving to the man. I remember both events at the same time. And I think my brain just went into safety mode, and because obviously if you were pulling up at a fast food restaurant at 11 p.m. and you saw a 5 to 6 foot tentacle reach out of the building, you know that's impossible. You just know that's impossible. So your brain knows you're viewing something and it tries to activate circuit breakers so you don't go insane. When the car in front of me drove away, I pulled up to the drive-thru window and I looked at the clerk who was working there and I asked, what was that? It might have been a guy, but I don't remember. She just looked at me very deadpanned, like all the employees at that Wendy's did. I don't remember the name she used. But it was something along the lines of, oh, that's just Tyler. He's always having fun. I was like, that doesn't explain anything. That doesn't explain anything. I mean, you could go, well, maybe one of the employees was having fun building this giant contraption. I did look in the window. I didn't see anything laying on the ground. There weren't a bunch of and the thing physically couldn't have held that food. Also, I would have been pissed if I was that customer and some guy's messing around with my Frosty, buddy. If you want to spill food, spill it on yourself. Don't be spilling my meal with your contraption. I never went back. I did eat the food I ordered that night. My eyes are all glowing. I grow tentacles. But I never went back. I go, there's something wrong with that place. As I am sitting there drinking my Frosty. Oh man, that place I think is demonically possessed. Ooh, this Frosty's delicious. Let me ingest more of it. I never went back. And eventually it went out of business. Or I get maybe all the employees got swallowed up and there was no one there to work it. And it closed. The Wendy's closed in a very busy part of town with a huge parking lot, which was always interesting. It had a huge parking lot. It had the drive-thru, had a bigger parking lot than the local McDonald's. It had a bigger parking lot than a lot of places there. Even with that, nobody started a new business there. Nobody. I remember the next couple years, it was just always sat empty. Until recently. Until the last couple years. All that stuff happened in early 2000s. Well, due to two intrepid listeners, Allison and Adam, they recently contacted me and said, hey, do you know exactly where that Haunted Wendy's is? We want to go check it out. So we pulled it up, and it's a new restaurant now, a sushi restaurant. So let's take a look at their story of what they experienced there. Now, we have, listeners all over the world of Dead Rabbit Radio, and you guys are doing such a great job and not just getting the word out, but doing research and follow-up research. So two members of the Fluffle, who we will call Allison and Adam, they live in Sacramento. And they go, dude, you know what? We should go and try to find that Wendy's Jason talked about all that time ago on that show. And this was back when we did the live show for the Discord on Sunday mornings. We did a live episode. One day I was talking to them and they go, hey, we want to go to that Wendy's, but we can't find it anymore. So we probably spent maybe a half hour, us three, on Google Earth. Because I knew the area it was in. Well, we sat there for about 30 minutes going through Google Earth, and then finally we found it. It's no longer a Wendy's. It had shut down many years previous. Now it was a sushi restaurant. There's a sushi restaurant called Makisu Sushi. And they go, dude, okay, we're going to check out this sushi restaurant, see what's up. I go, dude, yeah, that'd be dope. I mean, here's the thing. You might end up getting possessed by something there, but let me know. Let me know if you get possessed. So then I don't hear from him for a while, right? I was like, oh, great. He sent them off to their deaths. Then I get a message from Adam a while back, and he goes, we went in to order some food, and we were just going to sit there and kind of observe the place for a while. So Allison and Adam, they walk into the sushi restaurant, they get their menus, they sit down, and he goes, almost right when we started looking at the menu, both of us became extremely irritable. In fact, he goes, it was a little more than that. We both started to be unhappy. We felt kind of this sadness sitting over the both of us. Really odd. Sushi is delicious, right? Sushi should make you happy. He didn't say that, I'm saying that. But anyways, he goes, we sit down right when we start looking at the menu. He goes, we both felt off. We both felt sadder than we were before we walked in. And Adam picks up on this right away and he goes, hey, Allie, let's just leave. Let's just get out of here. And Allison goes, no, I want to stay. I want to stay. And she's looking at the menu and she goes, I don't want to eat anything here. So they just kind of sit there for a while. And Adam goes, well, okay, if you don't want anything to eat, should we leave? And Allison goes, no, I still want to be here. I want to be here sitting at this restaurant with this menu, but I don't feel like eating anything. I don't see anything on the menu I want. And Adam goes, well, then we should leave. And she's like, no, I'm good. I want to sit here. Well, this goes on for a bit until eventually they do leave. And her stomach's all growling. She's like, fine. We can leave. Is there a Wendy's nearby? We can stop at, get a Frosty? So they both get up to walk out of the restaurant. Adam said, we walked out of the restaurant and almost immediately we both felt all of the irritability leave. He goes, it was like this instant relief. It's like when you get that sunburn and you get that first bit of aloe put on your skin type of relief. Adam finished his email by saying, we didn't see anything, and none of the workers seemed disturbed or out of the ordinary, but we definitely felt something, and it kind of lingered with us until we got home. So even after their emotions returned, they still felt something with them on the journey back, which would be very powerful. Anytime that you can take that feeling with you on accident, That's a sign of a powerful entity. Well, you go, but Jason, they didn't see anything, and the workers seem to be fine. So has this, whatever it was, ended? I don't know. I really appreciate the ground research we got, but I did start looking at reviews of this restaurant, and a few really interesting things popped up. Some of them might be more interesting than others, but first off, if you look at the reviews for this restaurant, one of the things that is said in most of them is every time I go in there, there's nobody else in there. That is something that pops up in a lot of these reviews. I went in there at lunchtime, there was no one else in the dining room. Now, this area is very, very populated. This is a very well-traveled area. It's maybe a mile outside of Sac State. So you got the big college nearby, maybe 2 miles outside. But the way Sacramento's built, everything is very, very compressed. All around it are a ton of other restaurants, other shops that were always busy. And you look at these reviews that are spread across the years. One thing that pops up in a ton of them is, I went in there for lunch, I went in there for dinner, I went in there, da-da-da. No one else was in the dining area. I was the only customer there. Which seems odd, because you're getting such a wide sample base. There's so many reviews, I wasn't even able to read them all, but I was going through them. So that's an interesting thing. And you go, well, Jason, maybe it's a struggling business. You'd have to go to this area. I mean, it could be struggling business, but it might be, because of the other stuff we're going to talk about. But it's fascinating in the sense that we have this same element spread across the years. Even in my experience, when it wasn't a sushi restaurant, you went there and there was almost never anyone in the dining room, or you were the only one. There's also some interesting, and this could be just bad quality control, but a lot of people say that they order the sushi. You're like, Jason, you're really stretching on this one. I don't know. I thought there might be something behind it. People said you order the sushi there at the sushi restaurant, and it will have garlic on it. You'll see the garlic on it. You're like, Jason, wow, I know you're going to 4 episodes a week, but that doesn't mean that you just have to throw anything into the pot. If anything, the topics should get more exciting. I think this is fascinating. You may disagree with me on this. They serve sushi there, right? And there was more than one review that the sushi roll had garlic on it, which I don't like garlic that much. I don't like the big chunks of garlic. It makes me sick. Like garlic powder, I'm fine with, but fresh garlic is disgusting. They go, I ordered, more than one review said this. I ordered a sushi roll, and it had garlic on it, but when I ate it, I couldn't taste any garlic. It's not paranormal. Are you trying to say that a ghost did that? Well, kind of, right? Here's the thing. Let me explain. I'm wondering, okay, you're right. It could just be bad ingredients. But I'm wondering, I put down in my notes, quantum food? Question mark? That's what I wrote in my notes. Because what if you did have, imagine this. I hate garlic. Imagine you had a big, juicy burger, and it had ketchup and mustard on it, and you took a bite out of it, and you didn't taste the ketchup or the mustard. You're like, ha! Call the Ghostbusters. Where's H.P. Lovecraft when you need him? The madness. You would take a bite of this burger, and you go, that's weird. I don't taste ketchup and mustard. And you lift the bun up, and you see there's ketchup and mustard on it, so then you take another bite, and you're like, interesting. So then you ask the waiter, hey, can I get some more ketchup and mustard? And you put it on your burger, and you take another bite, and you still can't taste it. You're like, Jason, maybe you're having a stroke. It's like, also, I can't lift my left arm, and I'm drooling out of the left side of my mouth. It would be weird. It's not necessary. That was the only thing. You're right. I wouldn't think that was paranormal. But because of everything else that happens here, it sucks away your joy. No one likes to go there. People still go there, but it's always 1 or 2 at a time. The garlic doesn't taste like garlic. You're like, Jason, is it other ingredients that don't taste like things? Well, I'm glad you asked, because sometimes people say this is the best sushi in town, and they love this sushi, and it's their favorite, and they think about it all the time, and they can't wait to go back. Like, Jason, that's not paranormal either. You love Chipotle. Is every Chipotle haunted? It's okay, it's not, okay, here's the thing, you're right, that's not paranormal either. But we're building a case. Garlic that doesn't taste like garlic. Like, you're clearly looking at garlic on your sushi, and you take a bite and you expect garlic, but you don't taste it. That's weird. You're like, it is kind of weird, but it's not as weird as a 7-foot-long tentacle delivering people's food. Why? What are you trying to build here? Garlic doesn't taste like garlic. Some people, though, say they're addicted to the sushi. What was the other one? Oh, yeah, it sucks away your joy. That one should be first, right? Based on Allison and Adam's experience, it sucks away your joy. You have a lingering presence follow you home. And the garlic doesn't taste like garlic. And some people are addicted to the food. What I thought was interesting as well is that this is the same building that the Wendy's was in. It's on the exact same piece of property. It's the same building. Has a massive parking lot, and there's never any cars in there. It's really weird. It really stands out in a very crowded area. But since it's the same building, it has a drive-thru. A sushi with a drive-thru. And you go, wow, that's like pretty neat, right? If you really need sushi and you need it now, and you're not a huge fan of garlic, you can go through the drive-thru. No, you can't. The sushi restaurant has a drive-thru, yes, but they do not allow you to just drive through and order and leave with your food. At best, and I think they did this during COVID, you order your food online, and if you don't want to get out of your car, you can go through the drive-thru and pick up your order there, but you can no longer order the sushi at the drive-thru. You can only pick up sushi you've ordered previously. So I wonder... You're like, damn it, Jason. It's not paranormal. Hold on, let me finish. I wonder if the new owners of this place know what's going on. They know that there's something not right about this place. And it may be focused, or it may be the most active at the drive-thru window. So they minimize it as much as possible. You're not sitting there at all. You show up when your order is ready to get picked up. And really, probably the best option is you just park and walk into the restaurant. You can pick your food up there as well. But no more waiting. No more just pulling up and waiting behind cars or sitting at the drive-thru. They've shut it down. And people have gotten confused because they've driven through the drive-thru and go to the window and go to order the sushi. And they go, no, we don't take orders through the window. You got to park your car and walk in. People go, well, why do you have a drive-thru then? And they go, well, if you ordered your sushi online, it's kind of confusing. If you ordered your sushi online, you can drive up, but we're not a drive-thru. Which I wonder if that was for a purpose. To prevent whatever weirdness was happening at the drive-thru from happening more. Or, I like sushi, I don't need a ton of it. It's possible that sushi takes longer to prepare. So, you're like, one California roll, please. And they're like, no problem. And then they're like having to harvest the seaweed, and they're like clubbing the fish in the back and killing it, cutting it up. I don't know. I think sushi's kind of ready to go. Because when I eat sushi, it's from Safeway or Rose Hours, grocery store sushi. So I just walk up, grab a package, and leave. But if it's fresh sushi, it may take, 20 minutes to make. So that could be one of the reasons why they don't have the drive-thru. Or it could be because there is some sort of terrifying entity there that has infested the business, and they saw the tentacle too at some point. Which you're like, Jason, then maybe they wouldn't just shut down the drive-thru. Maybe they would bulldoze the entire building. I don't know. It is very interesting, though. I do want to go back down there. Next summer, when I'm in Sacramento, I will go to this haunted Wendy's / sushi restaurant. We'll see what's up. I think it's a fascinating story. And a perfect way to segue to my Port Gamble presentation. I'm going to be in Port Gamble Ghost Conference from November 7th to November 9th. I'm giving a presentation on fast food ghosts. So we'll be talking about this story. You're like, Jason, if you show up at the ghost conference. I'm like, dim the lights, dim the lights. Okay, everyone, be quiet. Imagine garlic. Imagine garlic. Anyone in here love garlic? Oh, you do, ma'am? Okay. It's going to be particularly terrifying for you. Imagine a restaurant with all the garlic you want, but none of it. Garlic, you're like, oh, what? Can we get our money back? How much are we paying the speaker? No, I got a ton of haunted fast food restaurant stories. I think it's going to be awesome. But anyway, so I'll be doing a presentation on that. Pretty crazy stuff. Pretty crazy stuff. Here, wait. Why did the audio quality change all of a sudden? Why can I clearly tell you edited in about 15 minutes of content? Because I had to redo the new beginning. Remember what I said? I had recorded 40 minutes of stuff. I had to edit out 20 of it. Oh, the magic of editing. The magic of editing. But yes, my sound quality has changed. But you know what hasn't changed? The classic Carpenter Copter. Everyone climb on board the world famous Carpenter Copter as Eminent Clown takes us out of Sacramento and flies us all the way out to a house in Anywhere, USA. Super interesting story that we're about to take a look at. And it makes us ask that question, like I said in the beginning. Can ghosts tell the future? And if so, do they influence it? When you die, do you have access to knowledge you didn't have in life? We don't know. Some ghosts are very limited in what they know. They don't know, we covered this a long time ago, that ghost who kept appearing at the convenience store and stealing the bagel knife. He didn't know that his girlfriend, who was in a horrible car accident with him, that's what killed him, survived the car accident and went on to live her life. He didn't know that. He didn't have any information that was happening outside of that convenience store where he dropped dead at. Someone had to tell him. And then he stopped haunting that place. Interesting. So some ghosts have extremely limited knowledge. Although sometimes, when you talk about mediums, they'll use the spirit world to find out information that people aren't privy to. Like where treasure may be buried, where a body may be buried, things like that, helping police with crimes. So, I guess if you're talking to the ghost of the person who's buried, they would know. They're like, hey, yeah, no, there's a worm crawling in my eyeball right now. Get it out. I'm buried by the river. But, do you have, when you're dead, do you suddenly know things that you otherwise wouldn't know? Well, I don't know. Let's take a look at this story. I found this really interesting. We're about to meet a young man. We don't have his real name. We're going to call him Walter. He's 17 years old. He's living with his parents, growing up with his parents. Normal life. But he has seen, growing up in this house, he has seen shadow people. He's seen tall, shadowy figures in his house. One of them wore like a 19th century top hat. Shadow people we talk about a lot on this show, sometimes they are classified as a separate entity other than ghosts, which I actually believe that they are. I believe shadow people are a separate entity. They're not demons. They're not ghosts. They're interdimensional in some sort. I've done tons of episodes on them. I've experienced them. However, I have this conspiracy theory about the shadow people. I don't think when you see a shadow person wearing a top hat, I don't think he's wearing a hat. I think that's what his head actually looks like. I think he has horns sticking out of the side of his head, and his head is rectangular. I don't think he's actually wearing a hat, because that is common. People will say, I see the shadow man, it looks like he's wearing a hat. They call him the Hat Man. But if you took a silhouette of a guy in a hat and you didn't know, it would look like he had horns sticking out of the side of his head. You see what I'm getting at? So, I don't know. Anyways, possible ghost, possible shadow men. But he's seeing these growing up in the house. They're not really disturbing him. He doesn't say other people in the household are seeing them. It could be one of those cases where everyone in the household sees it, but no one talks about it because it's just too weird. That happens a lot. Anyways, he goes, I see these shadow people from time to time. They'd be at the corner of my eye. I turn, I look, they're gone. Very typical paranormal entity behavior. Well, one day when Walter turned 18, he was going to go hang out with some friends. He lied to his parents about where he was going because he was going to a kegger. And his parents go, okay, you got to be home by curfew. You got to be home by curfew, which, at 18, his parents set the curfew at midnight, which is more than fair, I think. Yeah, Mom. Yeah, Dad, no problem. I'll totally be back by midnight. Toodaloo. Walter goes to this kegger and he loses track of time. He's having too much fun. He's hanging out. I don't know how much he's drinking. We can assume some. But whatever the case, it's 3 a.m. at this point, and he's like, uh-oh. Like, this is way past my curfew. It would be one thing if I got home, 12:10, maybe 12:30, but 3 a.m., I'm toast. It is done for me. Well, he ends up getting back home. And he doesn't mention drinking or driving or anything like that. So that's why I'm not entirely for sure if he drank himself, if a friend drove him. Because I've been to keggers. I've been to a ton of keggers and haven't drank. Not everyone who goes to a kegger goes there to drink. I've been to a lot of keggers, usually because it's gross alcohol, or I don't want to drink that night. I've been to a lot of keggers and not drink. But anyways, He gets home, it's past 3 a.m. He's busted. He knows that it's done. But as he's getting close to the house, he sees that all the lights are off. He goes, okay, you know what? I might be able to finagle this. I might be able to just sneak in. If my parents are asleep, let's say they stayed up till midnight, and I sneak in the house, I can say, I got home at 12:20. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Dad. Maybe he can get out of this, because he knows he's totally screwed. So he gets to his house, and the first thing he does is he goes back to there's the front door, obviously, but then there's a back door near a solarium, which apparently is some sort of sunroom. I didn't look it up. I know enough about prefixes and suffixes to assume that a solarium is a sunroom. It's probably just a room full of glass, like glass walls and stuff. You probably just sit there with your coffee and you look out of a glass. I mean, I have those. They're called windows. Right? Every room has a solarium. In my place, I'm the richest man in the world. I'm assuming it's a place that you sit on the balcony or the porch or whatever, and you just sip coffee and you let the sun shine through glass. But apparently he has one of these, and there's a back door next to the solarium. So he's like, okay, this is my plan. I'm going to get in the house through the back door. And he goes and he starts trying to get in. Click, 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 click. The knob is locked, obviously, right? They're responsible homeowners. They lock their doors at night. And he's like, oh man, well maybe. He's trying. What sound effect is that, Jason? He's trying to open the back door. It won't. So then there's another back door in the house, which is not near the solarium. And he goes, well, I'll go try that. So he goes and he tries the back door, and he can't get in there either. So he's like, oh, great. But as he's standing at that second back door, because it's in the middle of the night, he's tired, he's cold or hot. I don't know where the story takes place, but he's mild. He's tired. He's a mild temperature. He just wants to get in. So what he's about to hear both relieves him, but also kind of puts the nail in the coffin. He hears his mom is on the other side of the door. He's clearly caught at this point. His mom says, come in the front door. Actually, let me make a correction. Let me make a correction. I made a mistake when I was recording this. The sound quality changes once again. He didn't hear her voice from the other side of the door. He's in the back of the house, and he hears his mother say, come in the front door, and she's saying that from the front of the house. So it wasn't directly behind the back door. He's in the backyard, and he hears her say, come in the front door. And he's like, damn it, right? I mean, whether or not it's coming from behind the back door or the front of the house, he's caught. But it does allow him to get inside. So he then walks around to the front of the house, and he notices that the front door of the house is wide open. Remember, it's like 3 a.m, but his mom was just yelling at him. So he goes, oh, Mom is waiting for me in the darkness of the house because all the lights are out. All the lights are out. He gets to the front door. It's wide open and odd. But of course, his mother just opened it. That's why she was calling out to him. However, once he stepped into the house, he didn't see his mother anywhere. The house is dark. The house is quiet. And he goes, well, maybe Mom woke up and opened the door and then vanished, disappeared. I don't know. I mean, she went back up to bed. I guess that'd be the rational thing. Walter thinks as he shuts the front door behind him and goes to bed himself. Goes to his own bedroom and falls asleep. The next morning, Walter comes downstairs and the mom asks, hey, Walter, what time did you get home? Walter's sitting there for a second and he thinks. He goes, wait, okay. Do they not really know when I got home? Because he's busted. He's going to get in so much trouble for this. When his mom asks him this, he kind of has to think on his feet. He goes, actually, I don't know, Mom. I didn't have my watch on me. Which was a lie, but he wasn't going to commit and say, I was here by 12 a.m. sharp, or I was here at a couple minutes past. He told a lie. He says, Mom, I don't remember. He knows that it was past 3 a.m., but he goes, I didn't have my watch. So I don't know exactly when I came home. And the mom goes, yeah, it's really weird. We planned on staying up till midnight. So we'd be there to greet you when you came home and followed the rules and followed your curfew. We wanted to make sure you were safe and all of that stuff. But around 10 p.m., we got tired. Isn't that right, honey? Dad's like, yeah, we got real tired. Super sleepy. We were just sitting there watching the nightly news when all of a sudden I turn to your mother and go, I'm tired. What about you, honey? And she said she was tired too. He got away with it. He didn't get grounded. But here's the thing. This is the stuff he's kind of had to rationalize since. His mother did not say, come in the front door. He goes, my mom was not awake. They were both out by 10. She does not sleepwalk. She would have ratted me out. I would have gotten in so much trouble. She'd want to bust him. He shouldn't have been out that late. But the fact of the matter is, he heard his mom's voice say, and this was an exact quote from him, quote, come in the front door, unquote. And he went inside and his mother was deep asleep in her bedroom. So he has to wonder, did one of the spirits at this house, shadow people or ghost, because a lot of people who don't know the difference, they use the terms interchangeably. Right, they are two separate entities. It's the difference between a giraffe and a zebra. He goes, I don't really know what to make of it. I'm assuming one of the spirits in the house copied my mother's voice. It didn't speak in its own ghastly voice, because then I wouldn't have went inside, right? If you heard a, come in the front door. You're like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. It's a beautiful, mild night out. I'm just going to sleep on the lawn. So we have traces of a doppelganger or a mimic. We have stories of shadow people, possibly the Hat Man variant, which could either be an old-timey ghost or a shadow person with horns and a flat-top head. It's not a hat. I don't think it's a hat. I think it's their facial or their head. Facial features is your face. Headal features, the features of your head. Anyways, so what was it? Supernatural, most likely. We know the mom didn't do it. But there's a bigger thing at the end here. And we'll wrap it up like this. First off, this was posted online by someone going by the name Impressive Floor 700. This is what he writes at the ending. Oh, this was another detail. Like, again, he goes, I think the fact that my parents fell asleep at 10 p.m. and they were too tired, they wanted to stay up. They had planned to stay up until midnight, like they had done previously, to make sure I was there when I was supposed to be. He goes, my parents getting sleepy is part of the mystery. Both of them becoming very, very tired around the same time, despite them both having a reason to stay up. He goes, that was odd in and of itself. That was very unlike his parents. I don't know why all of that stuff happened, but I do know this. The very next weekend after that, I went out again, which I would not have been able to do if I was grounded. My parents would have grounded me for a really long time. They would not have, even though I'm 18 years old, I'm living in their house, following their rules. He goes, had I not gotten in that house totally safe, something had to mimic my mother's voice and unlock the front door and put them to sleep before midnight. He goes, had none of that happened, I would have been grounded. Instead, it all did happen. I wasn't grounded. And the very next weekend, I was allowed to go out again. And that weekend, I met a girl, and they started hooking up. And she got pregnant. And they decided to stay together and raise the child. So they got married. And he was married to her for 25 years. And he said none of that would have happened. It would not have happened had I gotten caught that night. I never would have met her. It was a once-in-a-lifetime thing for me to meet this girl and for us to have that moment and start this chain reaction where we ended up having a baby and ended up getting married, and we were together for 25 years. He missed a different life by 3 hours. If he had been caught, he never would have met his future wife and the future mother of his child. And so the question is, do these shadow people, I know I was saying ghost in the intro, you're like, what? Those aren't, you said, oh, you're like, those aren't ghosts. Those aren't ghosts, I know. I think I got confused. Honestly, when I was looking at my notes, I go, oh, these are shadow people. These aren't ghosts. But anyways, my point is that, like, you kept going on. Can ghosts see the future? The answer is no. There's not even ghosts in this story. There's shadow people. Okay. But, okay, shadow people. The argument could be made that the shadow people knew the future. They knew these events had to play out. They may have even seen the two timelines. One where Walter is grounded and doesn't meet this girl, and his life goes down path A, and one where he does meet the girl and his life goes down path B. And they created a series of events that path B would happen. Now, what's interesting, other than interdimensional entities personally taking a role in directing somebody's fate, that's interesting. But what else is interesting is he saw these shadow people when he was growing up. Then he stopped seeing them. He stopped seeing them in this house. He stopped seeing them at his house. Like, he just never saw them again. Except for year 24 of his marriage to that girl. He began to see shadow people around his house. Same thing. Tall figures, fleeting glimpses out of the corner of his eye. But remember, it had been 2 decades plus since he's seen one of these. And now he's starting to see them again. He goes, I hadn't seen them in over 2 decades. And now I start seeing them around me. Not in a threatening manner, almost as if they're just watching or passing through like they were when I was younger. And I saw them for about 4 months. And didn't really know why they were there. And then I found out that my wife was cheating on me. He said he continued to see the shadow people here and there around him all the way through the divorce. And then a few months after the divorce was finalized, he stopped seeing the shadow people. Super bizarre story, really. It is. You can make the argument during times of stress, he's seeing the shadow people, but he wasn't super stressed out as a kid. It really does sound like, for whatever reason, these shadow entities have an interest in this guy's timeline, and they're influencing it in some way or another. And in ways he may not even know. Imagine that first story where he doesn't hear his mother's voice. Imagine that first story where the shadow people put the parents to sleep so they go to bed about 10 p.m., and then when he gets to the front door, they've already unlocked it, and he just checks it, and he goes, oh, my parents unlocked the door, and he goes up to bed. You would never chalk that up to any sort of paranormal story. You would never go, oh, the shadow people unlocked the door. You'd have to be crazy to think that right off the bat. It's only because they had all these other things going on with something imitating his mother's voice and unlocking the front door when it had previously been locked when he tested it earlier. That's what made him go down a supernatural route. I wonder if, as an adult, they were trying to draw his attention to this cheating, and he wasn't putting 2 and 2 together, but when he finally did, he thinks he discovered it on his own, but it was actually under the direction of these shadow people. You could argue, if the shadow people could see into the future, why would they have him date a cheating partner to begin with? I don't know, right? I don't have all the answers. Because that would make me mad, right? That would make me mad. If destiny made me get with someone who was going to cheat on me, that would infuriate me. In the divorce court, well, shadow people, show yourselves. Shadow people, why didn't you warn me that harlot over there was going to break my heart? Oh, shadow people. Hey, where's the evidence locker? Does anyone have any meth? I hear that's a good way to see the shadow people. I'd be upset. These shadow people definitely seem to have a vested interest in this guy. So, super interesting story. I actually love this one. They seem to have an interest in him, but they would also have to know the future, at least for the first part of the story. Maybe they got distracted and weren't able to completely save his marriage. But it's interesting, they did play a part in him getting married in the first place, which does make you think that they have some capacity for seeing the future. But absolutely fascinating story. They probably can't see the future, but they're not infallible. Maybe the point was for him to have the kid, you could argue. Maybe the timeline needed their child. Yeah, that's fair, but did they then have to have this marriage go on for 25 years, knowing it's going to end in heartbreak? So it's possible that they know the future, but they either stopped looking at a certain point. The guy, he's got it from here. He's got it from here. Or they are not perfect themselves, which actually would track. I don't think really any paranormal entity is 100% perfect. They have their own follies and foibles. But a fascinating story. It starts off as a typical weird ghost story in a house, and it takes years and years and years for you to look back and see what it actually was. Supernatural entities affecting the life of one man, changing it permanently, giving him a child. So they must have seen something was going to happen, and something had to happen For whatever reason, we don't know. But that's normal for the paranormal. We are always left asking why. That's what makes researching the supernatural endless and fun. Endless fun. Fun might not be the right word. This guy's heart got broken. 2 of my listeners have gotten possessed by a sushi demon. You're right. Fun's probably not the right word, but I'm having fun, right? It didn't happen to me. I did eat cursed Wendy's, but I seem to be doing fine. DeadRabbitRadio@gmail.com is going to be our email address. You can also hit us up at Facebook.com/DeadRabbitRadio. TikTok is @DeadRabbitRadio. Dead Rabbit Radio is the daily paranormal conspiracy and true crime podcast. You don't have to listen to it every day, but I'm glad you listened to it today. Have a great one, guys.